Welcome back into another edition of Quarantine Conversations. And joining us today is the CEO of KemperSports, Steve Skinner. Steve, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us a little bit today.
Thank you, Casey. Great to see you.
Absolutely. So obviously everybody's got a lot more time on their hands these days, being sequestered. So what exactly have you been doing to try to keep yourself busy these days?
Well, yeah, I think I've been dreaming about playing golf more than anything and dreaming about warm weather. But actually, from a business standpoint, we've been probably as busy as we've ever been going through the cycles of worrying about the virus, then dealing with the closing down of a lot of courses, and dealing with staff members and trying to care for them as much as possible. And now, luckily, we've kind of gotten over the hump, and now we're focusing on opening golf courses again. So we've been busy on that on the work front, and at home, been spending a lot of time like everyone with family, watching any Netflix show I can find, and walking the dogs a lot, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. As you kind of alluded to there, obviously KemperSports, founded in the Chicago area. You're based in Northbrook now, but your reach really expands throughout the country with over 130 facilities that you guys service. Golf is kind of a unique landscape during this in that the regulations and stipulations have varied from state to state. But as a whole, how have the Kemper facilities been trying to get through and manage this situation?
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been we've got a great team of people throughout the country monitoring it. I would say at its peak, about 70% of our golf courses were closed for play, and all of them have restrictions on food and beverage. We've started to see that tide turn, and as of when Illinois opens up on May 1st, we'll be at about 50%. But really, it's what everyone's been working so hard because there have been so many different rules by state, and we've worked a lot with a lot of the associations, your counterparts, in a lot of parts of the country. They've been very good. I think one benefit of this is all the companies, all the associations have really worked well together, kind of both in lobbying government officials to allow us to open, as well as sharing information and best practices. So our focus is, how can we stay open? How can we provide a safe recreational opportunity for players and a safe environment for our staff as well? And as you know, we think golf is perfect for that. And golf is, well, we understand why states had to close. Golf should be, one of the first businesses that can open moving forward as a safe alternative.
Definitely. So what golf looks like, during these stages of kind of a staggered opening and things like that is obviously going to be different, what it looks like when things get back to what we'll call normal. But I think kind of the one main takeaway from all this is whatever is going to be normal in life is probably going to be different than what it was before all of this. I thought you had some great quotes in Ed Sherman's article in our Chicago District Golfer magazine in the April issue about the state of the game. And you're obviously someone who always kind of has the pulse of the industry. So what are some of the ways that you maybe envision the golf landscape changing moving forward permanently because of this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there'll be some changes that we'll all have to get used to, maybe that we don't like, as well as, maybe some good opportunities for golf. I think on the one side, we pride ourselves, and I think a lot of the golf industry does, on a high-touch customer service environment and a lot of close contact from in terms of staff and customers and taking care of them. And I think we're going to see that change, at least for the short term, of a lot more distancing in that. I think we'll see technology play a bigger role. I mean, we've moved to pretty much all, where we can, online tee times, cashless, prepaid tee times and the like. And I think you'll see that technology move in that direction. At the same time, which I think will be good, at the same time, I think there's a real opportunity for golf and for clubs, kind of a resurgence of, as people stay home in the near future and stay closer to home, look for recreational opportunities. Again, it'll be one of the safest places to be. We like to say that, there'll be 70 people amongst 200 acres or 80 people amongst 200 acres. How can you be more safe? And you've got 250 yards between groups. And it also, we think that, in the private club environment, it may be a return to people knowing they have a safe place to go, and that where there are facilities that are really concerned about cleanliness and safety. And I think that's the other thing that's going to change in all businesses, especially golf. We really have to spend a lot of time with extra cleaning and making sure that it's really as safe an environment as possible.
Definitely. Now, if there's been a silver lining to all this, I think it's been how uplifting it's been to see various industries and organizations, really rally around the united cause of trying to get through this and defeat this virus. And golf is no exception. I know you guys at Kemper Sports recently launched an initiative alongside the Illinois PGA and FootJoy called Rain Suits for Responders. So if you could just kind of tell us a little bit about that, how that's been going so far and how that idea came to fruition.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. And we appreciate the CDJ's support and kind of getting the word out. It was an interesting story. I was sitting at home on a weekend, and a longtime friend of mine, Father Jimmy Swarthout, who works for Amita Health, hadn't talked to him in a while, called and says, "We've got a problem at Amita Health, and you can help solve it," which was interesting. And he said the golf industry can help. They had come up with a way. He was in a meeting, and they said that golf rain suits, waterproof rain suits, can act as personal protective equipment for their doctors and nurses and other healthcare professionals, which frankly blew me away. And he said, first person I thought of was you. What can you do to help us? So I spoke to a couple of our people. We spoke to the Illinois PGA, and it really kind of took off. And FootJoy, Wadsworth Golf, and other industry associations, and it really kind of took off from there. So we just launched it last week. It's been very exciting. The idea is if you have a rain suit that's slightly worn and still good, you can donate it to Amita Health. They'll get it to their doctors and nurses. You can also make a financial donation, and that will FootJoy at a very reduced cost will provide a brand new rain suit. So it's been going well so far. We're only a few days into it. Already 250 rain suits have been donated. Amita Health's goal was 500. We're looking to get really as many as we can and take that elsewhere. We've been approached by the Met section and some other parts of the country saying, how can we do that? So, I think it's great for the golf industry. And our staff got very excited about it because everyone's been looking for ways, how can we help? Yes, we're worried about getting the golf courses open, but we're also worried about our communities and how we can help in any way we can. So it's a fun, it's a good project. And hopefully we're doing some good and helping out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, golf always seems to be at the forefront of various charitable initiatives, and as you alluded to, certainly a natural opportunity for the industry and for you guys to step up moving forward. Kind of along those lines, what are some of the more unique initiatives you've seen at your various facilities, whether it be locally or maybe at some of the other courses and resorts throughout the country, in terms of either coming up with ways to provide aid for various groups or unique and creative ways that they've been kind of staying in touch with their people that they'd normally be seeing at the golf course, but are stuck at home? Any kind of standout stories along those realms?
Yeah, it's really interesting. A lot of our facilities, and you don't realize that the golf facility is really such an integral part of the community. And when the golf course is closed and we went to go food only, a lot of our facilities, our restaurants have been busier than ever in providing that to go food. And several of them pivoted and really, in addition to just providing prepared meals, also had kind of grocery baskets of where we were able to source, hand sanitizer or cleaning supplies and we're delivering that to local community and members of the club and members of the community, which was really great, as well as kind of a full grocery basket of milk and bread and other things people may have a tough time getting out of the house, kind of a one-stop shop. So I think that's been great to see, really getting ingrained in the community. And the other part that, out at Bandon Dunes, the caddies really started on their own. We have over 400 caddies, who are obviously all out of work, and they started a fundraising campaign, a GoFundMe account. And the outpouring of support from our customers has really been great in supporting these caddies who are out of work. And I think last time I checked, close to $200,000 raised out there to help support the caddies. And there's some other programs that we've worked on for other staff members and caddies as well.
That's amazing. So, you mentioned Bandon Dudes there all the way out in the Pacific Northwest. Your reach really spans across the country, but, again, dates back to 1978, your founding with basically Kemper Lakes, golf course in the Chicago suburbs. as the company has continued to expand nationally, it's maintained its headquarters and its roots here in the Chicago area. Why has it been important to do that for you guys?
Well, sometimes when I look out the window and it's raining in April, I sometimes question that decision. But it really was founded. The company was founded by Jim Kemper Jr. and Steve Lesnick, both of whom lived in Chicago. Mr. Kemper has since passed away. Steve is still our chairman and active in the company. And it really came from the roots of Kemper Insurance and Kemper Lakes. And, it's where everyone lived and where we raised our families. So we've kind of got a real affinity. And it's an incredibly powerful golf community here with, great golf and great supporters of the game and a great history of the game. So it's worked well for us. It also helps being centrally located in the middle of the country with a great airport. So we can get just about anywhere in one flight and visit all our properties. But we question that decision often when our colleagues are playing golf in Arizona or California, and we're looking at fog and rain. But there's not a better town in the country than Chicago, so we love
For
it.
sure. Yeah, a couple nice snowfalls in April, but
Yeah.
I guess it just kind of comes with the territory. So, one of your signature facilities here locally, the Glen Club, is slated still to host Corn Ferry Tour event for the second consecutive year. The Evans Scholars Invitational launched last year, was slated for the end of May this year, postponed to some to be determined dates. What was the process that went into pushing that event back, and I guess where does it kind of stand at this point moving forward?
Yeah, that really was a decision. Obviously, the PGA Tour is making that decision, and they tried very hard to keep it on the schedule. One time early in the pandemic, it was going to be one of the first events played, and I think, as you said, just because weeks go by, it just gets pushed further and further out. So unfortunately, but it was the right decision. I think we're too early in the process to hold it. We're working with them now, seeing if we can find a date in the fall that works for the club as well as works for the tour. So, hopefully it's a great event. We really enjoyed hosting it last year. We know it'll have a great future. We love working with the Western Golf Association on it. And so we'll keep our fingers crossed if we can find a suitable date for everyone in the fall. So to be determined still.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly hope it works out. Not only is it a great opportunity for, locals to come out and see some of the up and coming stars, Scotty Scheffler winning last year's event. He was obviously making an impact on the PGA Tour, this season already before it was put on pause. But also, as you alluded to, benefiting the Western Golf Association, the Evans Scholars. So, really a great combination in terms of being able to see some great golf while also, contributing to certainly a worthwhile cause. Shifting gears briefly, and looking at your bio online, it says you worked for the Michael Jordan Golf Company before coming to Kemper back in the 90s. So what exactly did that role entail?
So that was fun. It was for a Chicago kid who loved golf. It was the perfect opportunity. I'd practiced law before that and allowed me to jump into the golf business. So Michael had retired from basketball. This was in between when he was playing baseball. And as you know, is a passionate golfer. And he and a friend of his, a colleague of his, had begun a company to develop high-end driving ranges. That were different than your normal driving range, high-end service, great layout, and it was entertainment. I said if technology was a little more advanced then, it may have been a precursor to Topgolf, because that was kind of the same theory of a great place to practice, but a place to have fun and more relaxed. So I joined that company. We built a couple of facilities, one here out west in Aurora, one in Charlotte. Then we also got in the retail business because he came back and started playing basketball at the time. And we quickly found that having, Michael Jordan golf on just about any piece of apparel or anything sold really well. So we ended up opening a store at the airport and water tower. And then that company was eventually sold as he continued to play basketball. But it was a fun start and gave me a great transition into the golf business.
Absolutely. With the documentary that's been airing, The Last Dance, I think, as you alluded to here locally in Chicago, I mean, we're all obviously always still, thinking that Michael Jordan is the greatest and everything like that. And everybody in the golf industry, obviously well aware of his passion for the game. But, I think some of the early episodes maybe made some people nationally kind of aware to, how big of a golfer he was and how much he really was into the game. Did you ever have a chance to play with him, throughout the course of your dealings? And if so, I'm sure you have some good stories that
Yeah.
you could share.
No, unfortunately, I was too poor when I was working with them. I was 20, maybe I was 30 years old, 29, 30 years old. I was far too poor to get into those games. I was around some of the games, but I was too poor a golfer and too poor in the pocketbook to get involved. But he was passionate. He would just go round and round. We would often have meetings, and it would be between 18 holes of golf. And he'd stop for as long as we could keep him still, and then he'd go back and play more golf. But he's a wonderful person. He was really insightful and a great person to work for. And as I say, it was right in the prime of his popularity, and I, grew up in Chicago, a huge Bulls fan, and I love The Last Dance. I tell you, I can't. It's kind of harkening back to how much fun everyone had in Chicago. Hopefully, we'll get back to those days with our Chicago sports team sometime.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the cool thing about that documentary is it's really kind of the closest thing we have to live sports these days, right? I mean, it's appointment television. It's something you can kind of look forward to on the weekends and everything like that. So certainly something that, as I said, I think everybody here locally, but then really, across the country has been enjoying so far as well.
Yeah, no, it's been great. No, I think you're exactly right. And we're hoping come May 1st, we'll be back on the golf courses here in Chicago. And we know everyone's itching to get out, so that'll be fun as well.
Definitely. Well, Steve, thank you very much for taking the time and for all the great work you do for Kemper and your various facilities, both here locally and across the country. And like you said, let's get this golfing back underway here soon.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you, Casey, and thank you for everything the CDGA does to support the game. You're a big part of it, so we're excited. We're gonna have a great year this year.
Sounds great.